payback time for Ramalinga Raju. 5 years after he went behind bars for masterminding one of India's biggest corporate fraud, the market regulator has finally clamped down upon him. In a 65-page order, SEBI says that Raju and his men will have to pay back over 2,300 crore rupees to investors with a 12% interest. That's not all. Raju and his 4 associates have been barred from the capital markets for the next 14 years.
Now, SEBI says the Satyam scam is a classic case of a sophisticated white-collar fraud which not only dealt a body blow to millions of investors but also shook the very foundation of the Indian capital market. SEBI may not have a strong track record when it comes to dealing with frauds, and many see the hefty clampdown on former Satyam promoters as mere tokenism, but will at least act as a deterrent to make sure that another Satyam is not in the making. That is our top story on Business Tonight.
This man holds the dubious distinction for masterminding India's biggest corporate fraud. And now 5 years down the road, it's payback time. Capital market watchdog SEBI today passed its final order in the 12,000 crore rupee scam, holding Ramalinga Raju and his 4 associates squarely responsible for cheating thousands of investors. In its 65-page order, SEBI has asked Raju and his men to repay 2,357 crore rupees, along with 12% interest. It's a vanvas of sorts for the former promoter of Satyam and his associates, as they have been barred from the capital market for a period of 14 years. But is it good enough?
Well, I think what SEBI has done is a fabulous job. They released an order which bans the promoters in the markets, asks them to disgorge the profits that they have made, and it sends a message very clearly to everybody else that SEBI is not going to keep quiet.
Satyam scam has been a test case for SEBI, which has hardly anything to showcase when it comes to market surveillance. This time around, the regulator may have done its bit by forfeiting all of the ill-gotten wealth and imposing a lifetime ban on Raju and his men. Only time will tell whether these measures will help prevent another Satyam in the making. With Vijay Ganeshan Iyer, Simran Gill, ET Now, Mumbai.
For more perspective on that big story, we're joined by a very special guest on Business Tonight. Mr. Sandeep Parekh, founder of Finsec Law Advisors, is live on the show. Thanks very much for being with us, Mr. Parekh. After the Harshad Mehta scam, do you think this is the toughest order passed by the market regulator? How do you really read this verdict?
Yes and no. It's a tough order because the number is pretty big, and it's not such a tough order because it's going to be difficult to enforce. And the reason I say it is because whatever little money these people had, at least officially, would have been attached by the taxman, by CBI, by probably thousands of other regulators and enforcers of the law. So the chance of recovering any money is going to be quite dim, according to me. But at the same time, I still think it sends a tough message, and I hope it sends a tough message to top management that there is collective responsibility. You can't just trust one man and his word, even if you're not part of the fraud.
So, Sandeep, what you're saying is that while it's going to be very tough for this money to be recovered, it could be a precedent really for corporate India. Would you say that this is a deterrent, so to say, for corporate India? Is this enough of a deterrent to ensure that there is no such fraud that gets committed, a white-collar crime of this nature that gets committed again?
Of this nature, at least I would want to believe so, because it sets accountability standards for certain types of top management. So I would think that it will send a message to those people. But having said that, of course, the prohibition against murder is not really stopping murders from happening. So frauds will continue to occur.
So, like you said, although the amount involved is going to be one of the largest imposed by SEBI, how tough is it going to be for the market regulator to recover the entire amount or even some part of it? What can it realistically do to recover the kind of money that we're talking about in excess of 2,000 crores?
So, in most of the cases, I would have said it would be fairly straightforward, given the ordinance which gives powers to SEBI to attach bank accounts, real assets, etc. But given the long tortuous history and all these so many investigative bodies and regulators and all these people jumping on their existing assets, most of them I presume have already been secreted abroad in presumably tax havens. I doubt if there's any money, and if there is any money, it's probably already attached. So I'm not very hopeful in this particular case, but that's not true of all cases.
Final question then, Sandeep. Assuming that there is some money to be recovered and assuming that the regulators can kind of recover some money, there's some level of coordination between regulators. However, if they're looking at what could be the process, because, there are going to be thousands of investors who potentially are the beneficiaries of this money. So what could be the process through which this money is allocated to the right investors?
Okay, so that's actually a tough question. Actually, that's a tough answer, not a tough question. What really happens in these kind of cases is, I think it's usually a bit slightly, if not very painful, to unscramble the egg, so to speak, because what has happened is millions of people have kind of entered and exited during that period of 2001 to 2009, till January 7th, 2009. So to calculate how much each investor lost, and very often in these cases, each investor would have lost, say, 15 rupees or 100 rupees or 5,000 rupees at the most. To compensate them it may take more money than is actually sought to be given back to them. So logistically, it may be difficult to find people and compensate them, even assuming that this money is in fact disgorged.
Sandeep Parekh, thanks very much. Appreciate you taking time out and joining us live here on Business Tonight with your perspective on that big SEBI order, which you believe is yes and no as far as how big and significant it is concerned.